$1 can multiply to over $1 million. In this episode, I'm going to explain how a parable in the Bible has made many people in America millionaires. Get ready. Maybe you've never heard of this, but it's very enlightening. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been a financial strategist, a retirement planning specialist for more than 4.5 decades. But during that period, I've helped many people accumulate millions of dollars, starting with very little. I'll share a story at the end, how I have helped many teenagers start with $2 and turn it into $1 million in less than 10 years. But to set the stage, I want you to understand that one of my favorite stories, actually a parable in the New Testament, is found in Matthew. Now, whether you're Christian like I am or not, I'm going to go directly to the parable because I can't do it justice any more than the author, the Lord himself, telling this parable. And I'm going to stop and give some commentary. And then at the end, I'm going to connect the dots and show you what this means and how this parable, this story with a meaning, has helped many people become millionaires and multimillionaires. So let's go into the actual parable. Bear with me. I'm going to read it because I want to do it verbatim, and then I'll stop and make commentary as we go so that you can be framed with the actual story, and then I'm going to tell you what it means and how you can apply this. So we're going to begin in Matthew chapter 25. That's the first gospel, verse 14, and it goes through verse 30. And the parable starts out, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods." Okay, now these are referred to as talents. Talents has a double meaning. It could be our talents of playing the piano or speaking, any talent, but at that time, talents were also used as a form of money, okay? "And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. Maybe you've heard this story. "And to every man according to his several ability." So maybe that tells us that God gives us talents according to our ability to be able to multiply those talents based upon our ability, where we progressed and so forth. "And he straightway took his journey." Now he's going away on a journey. Most journeys take a little while, right? So he's going to go away for a little bit. "Then he that had received 5 talents went and traded with the same and made them other 5 talents. He doubled his. And likewise he that had received 2 did what? He also gained another 2, so he doubled his talents. And he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money." Why did he do that? We'll find out. Beginning in verse 19, after a long time. So the Lord was gone that gave them the talents, it seems like for a long time, and came back. So maybe this was 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. "And he cometh and reckoneth with them." So he's going to find out what they did with the talents that he entrusted to them. "And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents. Look, I've doubled mine. Here's another 5, saying, Lord, thou deliveredst to me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 additional talents." Wow. So what does the Lord of the servant say? "His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Where much is given, much is required." And when you are entrusted, if you multiply your talents instead of maybe burying them, they wither up and die if you don't use them. If we're talking about talents of speaking or working or playing music or whatever, "Enter thou into the joy of the Lord." Wow, that sounds pretty good. What about the one with 2? "He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. And I went and I gained 2 additional talents. And what did the Lord say to that servant?" Okay. Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Wow, okay. Way to go. High five. Okay, high two maybe to the second one. Now, what about the one that hid the talents, that buried it? When we read different versions, maybe you hid it in a napkin, you buried it in the earth. Why did he do that? He was afraid. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew that thou art an hard man. Reaping where thou hast not sown. What does that mean? Receiving benefit from things that maybe physically people didn't see him actually going out and sowing the seeds or whatever, but he reaped some profits directly or indirectly from his endeavors or whatever. Where thou hast not strawed, and I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there that thou hast is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Woe, thou wicked and slothful servant. Now, I don't know if you know this. I used to teach Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John at an Institute of Religion. I don't think the Lord said that harsh of words to anybody else, even the woman taken in adultery. Thou wicked and slothful servant. Thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers. Now, who are the exchangers? In today's vernacular, it could be stock market exchangers. It could be banks, credit unions, insurance institutions. Put your money to work, in other words, right? Then at my coming, I should have received mine own with usury. In other words, in other versions of this parable in the scriptures, it talks about you should have put my money at least in the bank and with usury. What's usury? That's usually interest. They're charging or paying interest. There's two people here, and I'm going to come back to that. He's being rebuked because he hid it. He buried it because he was afraid to go out and multiply the talent. In 28, starting, take therefore the talent from him, the one who buried it, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. Ever since then, the crybabies of life have been saying, oh, then what has gets. Yeah, because they think life is unfair because they didn't go out and work and multiply the talents, and so they wither up and die. They're taken away and given to the one that actually was responsible and accountable and multiplied the talents. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. Who gets abundance? The ones who multiply their talents. They're grateful. They put it to work. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable. It sounds like we're supposed to be in pursuit of a profit or growth. We're here to grow, to expand. Cast the unprofitable servant into outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And some people go, yeah, life's so unfair. I was just trying to be careful. I just wanted to bury my money in a mattress or my backyard or whatever. So what does all this mean? As I read that parable and I watch those who get it, I have interviewed many, many millionaires, multi-millionaires, and billionaires who quote this parable and how it changed their life. Because if you put your money to work and you double it, like the one with 5 doubled to 10 and the one with 2 doubled to 4, how fast can you double your money? If you're earning 7%, you'll double your money about every 10 years. If you're earning 10%, you'll double your money about every 7.2 years. People say, golly, that takes too long. No, the 8th wonder of the world that I explain in another episode on this channel talks about compound interest, especially tax-free is the 8th wonder of the world, where you could start out with 100,000 and it doubles to 200, 200 doubles to 400 and so forth. I've had many, many clients who worked very hard, and the hardest money to obtain was the first 500,000. But they didn't have to add a dime. They took 500,000 and it doubled to $1 million in 7.5 years. That million doubles to 2 million by the 15th year. 2 million doubles to 4 million by the 22nd year. In the 30th year, they have $8 million because 500,000 was put to work conservatively doubling every 7 to 10 years. And people say, where can you do that? Well, that's what I'm passionate about. And my favorite vehicle that helps you compound is what I call the laser fund. But before I share that with you, let me connect a few dots and tell you a story of how I helped some teenagers become millionaires with $2. So years ago, I was in charge of a special event with 200 teenagers, and they had been used to gathering every October in order to hear an inspirational message. And there was a budget of $400 for 200 teenagers, $2 each for refreshments, punch and cookies. And I said, no, we're going to use that $400 different. And so I explained the parable of the talents to these teenagers. And I said, now, every one of you, when you leave, we're not going to have refreshments. You're all going to get $2 in a white envelope. These are your 2 talents. And I want you to go out. I know you're busy in football, cheerleading, debate, and so forth, but we're going to return and report here in 6 weeks and see how many times you doubled your money. And here's what you can do. You take the $2, this is your seed money. You could buy gas for a lawnmower, and you could offer to mow lawns and see how many times you can double the money. For the young ladies, I said you could buy ingredients to make a pizza, the cheese and the tomato sauce and the dough and so forth, and you could sell a pizza for $6. You take the $4 profit because it cost you $2, and then you make another pizza, and then 2, and then 4, and then 8, and then 16, then 32. See how many times you can double the $2. You could seal driveways. You could strap water heaters to make them earthquake proof. I gave them all kinds of ideas. You could babysit. So we shoot out 200 teenagers, and I remember one of the fellows with me said, I think we just kissed goodbye, $400. I go, no, wait and see. Now, I told the teenagers that maybe some of them would come back and sheepishly return the $2 that we gave them, and it wouldn't even be the same $2. They would be likened to the one with one time. They buried it. But some, it would change their life. 6 weeks later, I had a hard time picking on volunteers to share their stories. One young man bought gas and oil for lawnmowers, and he started to mow lawns and mowed more lawns and more lawns. Pretty soon, he had turned his $2 into $400. My 2 daughters combined their money together and sold firewood because they gathered firewood and sold it. We had all kinds of stories of painting, fixing, babysitting. One gal bought suckers at the drive-in. Every time somebody ordered a hamburger and a shake, she would say, would you like to buy a sucker for Project Share? Because we were going to raise the money and give it away to the Primary Children's Medical Center. Now, that's a hospital that never turns away a child for lack of funds, and so there's all kinds of donations. Do you know that these little self-centered, stingy teenagers in 6 weeks turned $400 into over $4,000? They 10 times it. Way to go. Now, we went out in one more night and doubled it to $8,000. And we were able to give away to the hospital $8,000 and also some wonderful gifts to charities and nursing homes. But here's really the end of the story. I occasionally run into some of those teenagers and they say, do you remember me, Mr. Andrew? I took $2 and turned it into $400 in 6 weeks mowing lawns. Have you heard of XYZ Landscape and Lawn Care on the radio? And I go, yeah. That's my company. I thought, why stop? And so now I have 20 crews, and we make over $1 million a year, and we give $50,000 to the hospital every year. I just thought you'd like to hear that. Yeah, he turned into a multimillionaire starting with $2. Another young man, he had some allergies. He realized that he had a lot of gluten sensitivities and so forth. And he heard how to write a book because I taught them how to go out and take your learning experiences and write them down. And he became a best-selling author. And it all started with $2. We've done this dozens of times with youth. Now, this is the parable of the talents. This has helped many, many people learn how money works, to be able to put money to work. My favorite instrument to do that is in a tax-free compounding account that I call the laser fund. It's a max-funded indexed universal life insurance contract where I have earned net internal rates of return between 7 to 10% tax-free. which has helped not only myself, but many people sock away $500 a month, $1,000, $50,000, $100,000. It doesn't matter what you begin with, it's what you end up with. But as they earn those rates of return, people sock away $500 a month with compound interest, and you do that for 30 years, you'll have over $1 million. Or you can start out with $125,000 that doubles to $250,000, that doubles to $500,000, that doubles to $1 million, that doubles to $2 million. Or like the people that I shared with you that started out with $500,000 and now they have $8 million by simply following a parable in the Bible. So if this is intriguing you, I would recommend that you share this video with others, comment, subscribe, click the little bell so you'll be notified. I post an in-depth answer to a financial question almost on a daily basis on this channel, Three-Dimensional Wealth. But if you'd like to learn more about compound interest and how this parable has helped many, many people, I want to gift you a copy of my most recent best-selling book. It's shown here on the screen. It's actually 2 books in one. The white covered side is 200 pages, 14 chapters with all kinds of charts and graphs. If you're a right brain learner with the stories, you turn it over, you read the orange color side. It's about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual chicken soup for the financial soul stories. If you'll just go to laserfund.com or click below, you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that. I'll pay for the book and fire out a copy to you. And this will help you on your journey to becoming a millionaire by applying compounding and multiplying your talents.